Hello everyone. Well, today we're gonna talk about tariff. What are tariff? There's a lot of confusion out there. I think most Americans, or let's say most people that voted for Trump, don't understand what tariff are because you know they voted for Trump thinking that Trump was gonna collect a lot of money for free, and the companies or countries that bring product to the USA, um, they were just gonna pay that tariff, and the consumer Americans weren't gonna pay for that, and that's the problem that we're facing right now. So just to start, what are tariff? You know, so if you wanna, the quick answer is tariff or tax. They're tax. That's what they are. So these tariff are imposed on companies or countries that try to bring goods, product into the USA. And so they get charged that tax, that tariff tax. They get charged whatever the percentage is, 10%, 25%. I believe China recently, the US put a tariff on 145%. China retaliated and they put a tariff on the US on 125% or something like that. That's crazy. That is ridiculous, what they're doing. There's a war right now, right there. It's a trade war right now. Uh, but let's come back to what tariffs are. They're tax imposed on these companies or countries that try to bring goods or product to the USA. So let me give you an example. Let's say that a company sell a product here in the USA. Let's say for $10, whatever product is. Let's say the price is $10. Now let's assume that the US is gonna impose, let's say, 25% tariff on that company for that product. 25%. So because the product is sold in the US for $10, now you have to add the 25%. If it's $10, 25% is of $10 is $2.50. So the company or the country that brings that product into the USA is gonna pay that 25% at the custom clearance, at the border, whether it's on land, sea, or flying. Uh, once they get to the border, the customs they pay that 25%. So now, just think about it. A company is in business because they're making money. If a company does not make money, a company's gonna run, it's gonna go out of business, right? Because they're not making money. So a company has to make money. So just for logic, if a company is selling a product for $10, the government is imposing let's say 25% on this company for the products that they sell. Do you really think the company is gonna lose 25%? They're gonna go out of business. They're not gonna lose 25%. So guess who is gonna pay for that 25%? That tariff, that tax. The consumer, the Americans, the consumers, they're gonna pay that 25% tariff. So the companies they have no choice but to increase the price of that product. Before it was $10, now it's gonna be at least $12.50. So who is gonna pay? Who is at the end? Who is gonna end up paying that 25%? The consumer, not the company. And that's where the problem lies, I think. Most Americans are, I'm not trying to offend them, but they're not well educated or they're not informed. That's just the word. They're not informed. They don't know how things work. And so they were brainwashed before the election, and they didn't do their job, to do some research and try to find out what tariffs are and how they work. And they thought that, again, China and other countries and companies that bring products into the USA, they thought they were going to pay the tariff, and that was the end of it. And prices of goods or products were not going to go up. They were going to stay the same. That's what they thought. But that's impossible. Again, a company is in business because they're making money. If they're not making money or very little money, they're probably going to go out of business. It's not worth it. 25%. Well, I used the 25%, but I think Donald Trump increased the tariff at the beginning to 45% or something like that. To China is 145%. So think about it. That's ridiculous. So if a product costs $10, 145%, we're talking about over $20, like $24.50. So who's gonna buy that product, which is two times more expensive? Because it's gonna increase 145%. If that product costs $10, do you really think China is gonna bring that product, pay $14.50 for a product that they're selling for $10? It's ridiculous, right? They'll be losing money. No, if they were to pay the 145%, um, the consumer eventually is gonna end up paying for that. So instead of paying $10, they were gonna pay $24.50, which is very expensive, right? And that's just an example that I'm giving you. It's crazy. People they need to get educated, and I'm not talking about going to a university school. I'm talking about basic things. You got Google, you got all the websites where you can find, you can do some research about a major topic, an important topic, and those that voted for Trump didn't inform themselves, and now they're like, what's going on? They don't understand how things works, and now they're crying because things gonna get more expensive. Um, the idea that the those products that come from China and other countries were gonna be made here in the U.S. It's not impossible. It's very, very difficult. Now, to bring an industry, a company into the U.S., it can take a few years, 3, 4, 5 years or more, and it's very expensive. So probably what's going to happen is that most of these companies outside the U.S. They're probably going to do business with China and other countries instead of coming to the USA. And now I can hear on the news that because China stopped their ships coming from China, um, port, uh, they're getting empty, and so that means that the supply of the products that come from China and other countries, um, they're getting low, very low, and so pretty soon, within the next 2, 3 weeks, we're gonna see shelves on many retail companies like Walmart, Costco, Target. We're gonna see those going empty, those shelves, because those big warehouses are gonna run out of product, and that's gonna be scary, you know. And that's when most Americans gonna realize that this tariff war, it's hurting Americans more than anybody else. So basically, that's what it is. Tariff or tax. That's what they are, tax, because they are revenues. That's how the government get money. They impose taxes or tariff on a company or country. They try to bring products into the USA, and so they collect the money. That's revenue, and so those are tax. Tariff or tax, But historically speaking, when a country imposes taxes on other country, the outcome is not good at all, because most likely what's going to happen is that country is going to retaliate, and they're going to also impose tariff or taxes, and it's a war. They go back and forth, and that's not good. It's not good for the economy. It's not good for business. It affects everything really. And now we see the effect slowly. We're seeing the effect, and wait another 2 3 weeks, we'll see more and more and more problems. And that's when Americans gonna realize, oh my goodness, this is not good at all. Thanks everyone for watching my video. Take care.